Hello, everyone.
Hello, I can hear you.
Hello, Nicholas. Hello, Ashbob. Okay. Some people were here earlier, but they may join later. Okay. How are you, everyone?
I'm good, very good actually. Just very busy.
Okay. Um, and you can anyone remind us the last time we met, what we treated?
So we went through quite a few bits actually. We went through metadata and classification. We went through what was it called? The practices of data governance and what's the highest practice of that. Examples of data governance initiatives. We went through that.
Yeah,
And I think that's about as much as I got written down. Have I got anything else? Oh, wait.
Went through data best practice.
Uh,
good,
Integration and collaboration we went through.
good. What what is best practice?
So best practice is professional procedures that are prescribed as being correct or the most effective.
Yeah,
That's what I've got down. Yeah.
yeah,
Most professional procedures that are prescribed as being correct and effective. Um, Security compliance.
yeah,
Um, Establishing standards, roles and responsibilities and guidelines that guarantee the quality, security, yeah, across its life cycle of data, yeah.
yeah,
We looked at metadata of data in depth too.
Yeah.
yeah. What is metadata?
Uh, it's it's metadata is data about data. So it could be name, address, sex, um, place of work. It could be, yeah, it could be, it's data about data. How many years you've worked on a place. It's
Yeah.
basically data that collaborates data.
Yeah. So the categories for organizing data, for organizing various kinds of data, like what Nicholas has said. So data about data.
Data about data. Okay, that's good. All right.
Then we looked at what descriptive metadata was. We looked at those types of metadata. We looked at descriptive, which is where he mentioned title, name, date of birth, and all that. Then structural metadata, those are the ones we look at maybe in the book. You look at the chapters in the book, relationship between
Right.
tables, and all that. And then I think we also looked at reference metadata too, where I said that, for
Okay.
example, in university, people use references for
I don't know.
data.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good. What else again?
I think we looked at standardization. establishing clear data standards and improving. I think that was where Nicola was talking about the data initiatives, talking about improving data consistency.
Yeah.
Did we look at supporting? Did we look at data cleansing? I can't remember if we looked at data cleansing. But anyway, everything that supports data.
Yeah. That's good to know. Right. Very important that today we're going to be dealing with, ethical responsibility in data governance operation. So, first of all, before then, you know what I would normally do? I will ask some few questions. On both ways. Is that okay, everyone?
Absolutely. Yep. Sure.
These
Yes, sir.
ones are, interview questions on ethical responsibility to discharge when you are employed. In most cases, an employer wants to see you demonstrating best practice in more ethical way, and they will know that they have employed somebody who they are paying heavily. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yes,
Good. Now, please, I want you to take it seriously. As the question comes, first of all, we enter the first questions that will be coming will be on the basis of data governance. So that you can easily, go further as you go. You find it very easy in getting things, answering those questions that are necessary to be answered. Is that okay?
absolutely, sir.
Good. Now, that being said, if you go to the chatbot, I'm going to be putting the first questions that will become as the basis of data governance. And what is data governance? In other words, I should ask the question, what is your concept of data governance? What is your, what do you understand by the concept data governance?
Data governance is the framework and set of practices to ensure proper management of an organization. It refers to the overall management of data available, its uses, its consistency, its reliability, and all this helps when it comes to risk management by companies, because with data governance, there's accountability, there's transparency, and there's easy accessibility to data. So therefore, every irregularity that might lead to a company not being compliant is taken out.
Good. Any other person?
Yeah, I've pretty much got the same kind of example. So my data governance is the framework of policies and procedures that, as well as strategies that ensure that data is managed and protected and utilized effectively within an organization. It involves obviously establishing standards, roles and responsibilities, and obviously guidelines that guarantee the quality and security of data and compliance of data across its life cycle.
Okay.
That's what I've got.
Yeah. It doesn't matter the definition you give. You must believe the definition you give. There are so many definitions to it, but I have my personal definition as well. So you are all correct, and whatever I'm putting there is just a guidance of it. it basically refers to the framework. Always put the word framework. Okay? When you're defining it, always use some framework. All right? So, of policies, it's a framework of policy. When you talk about frame, put things together.
Yeah.
Where do we stand? Structure.
Yes, a
So
very
the
professional
framework of
work.
policy are processes and practices used to ensure the proper management. The proper management, okay, very important, and accessibility, quality, and security of data within an organization. So there are specific concepts you need to mention of. When you mention them in your dealing, you automatically, in your answer, you automatically know that you know what you're talking about. It doesn't matter the kind of definition you give. Okay. And also, like I told you, one of my definitions that I so much love, so just when I talk about integrity of data, very important. Frameworks can be there, but has it got integrity? Okay, matters. Okay, that's very good. All right. So, why is it so important? Why is data governance so important? Always remember that. The question is tantamount to asking you, why are you being employed to do the work? Why?
Why is data governance important?
Yeah. So it's the same question. Say, can you tell me why you are being employed to be a data governance manager? And that's what it is. Okay.
To
Why data governance is important? What is the relevant? What is the relevant of it?
That's a good question.
What's the relevant of it?
I think we answered it when we talked about what is data governance. Data governance is important to ensure that the quality of data out there, it's reliable, it's consistent, and it's crucial for making informed business decision. And with data, it helps organizations to avoid mitigate risk related to data misuse or loss. Because if data has been misused or is lost, it could lead to financial consequences and even sometimes the company being prosecuted, like we see with cases of Facebook, where data was compromised and Facebook was taken to court. So to avoid things like that is very, very necessary that the data is properly managed and that is reliable. So in other words, it plays a crucial key when it comes to compliance and security. And then, of course, when we talk about security, and we're looking at not just security on the outside, but also things like cyber security. Because if your laptop is compromised and you are someone in a key position, and someone is able to get access to your laptop because it's not been properly secured, then you're compromising the security of everyone in that particular organization. As we see sometimes you do get the odd text messages from banks saying that someone has been able to access the system. So people's accounts have been compromised. You have fraudsters compromising people's accounts because they've been able to get hold of data. So this is why proper management of data is quite important.
Okay.
Thank you.
So much. Yeah, you mentioned, both of you have mentioned it, because if you always keep this in your mind, it will be so easy for you to walk through every other question they will ask you, and even in practice, you will be able to know how to articulate it as well. Very important. It ensures data quality, of course. If you really want to have any initiative spoken of, or when you're asked, oh, can you tell me any of the initiative you have carried out, you can talk about data quality, and you can also talk about compliance and regulations. You can talk about, any other initiative you can carry out.
I remember what Barrister Emmanuel was saying about him being put down as a woman rather than a man on some sort of register, and that stuck for some time. And even the story about his dad's misdiagnosis, which had dire consequences.
Absolutely. So it's very important. So those are the kind of important. I just want us to really kind of be a little bit, I used to. So these questions I'm going to be asking is going to be on best practice, which we treated last week. Last week we treated best practice. So questions will be coming on best practice in data governance. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, let's go. I've only got one answer for it, but let's go. I can get some more. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And before then, Maria Dorothy, how are you? You can hear.
I'm good. Good morning, sir.
Morning, doctor. You sent somebody across, and I didn't see the person anymore.
Oh,
I
okay.
told the person to come.
Did you reply to him?
Yeah, he answered me, and
Let me call him. He probably gonna be sleeping or something.
okay, I know your time. You're different in Canada. Dr. Vine, how are you, Vine? I know you're such a busy
Yeah,
man.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Good, good. Well done.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure, man. Sir. Yeah. So, right. While we're here, Ashibong, can you hear us from Nigeria as well?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Some of us who have gone for an interview, if they are here, if they come or they join us, probably they will give us some information how far they've gone. So very important. All right. Now, in the
Sorry, when you said when you were calling the doctors, I almost thought you were going to call Mr. I don't know if it's a Mr. or engineer Archibong a doctor too. I was going to tell Nicholas that I think we're in the wrong class. Everyone is a doctor apart from himself and myself.
Yeah, I'm fine, if anything.
such a funny person. So where we hear that, how can organizations start implementing data governance? This question is more or less, it's like it can go in that way, in that form by saying, if you are employed today, how will you start? If you are employed today, tell me how you will start. That's what it's saying. So how can organizations start implementing data governance? So in another formula, you can be asked, okay, let's just tell me where you're going to start from if you're employed today.
I would look what policies and procedures they have in their framework, and then see how I could put things that make everything comply at the highest standard. That's what I would say.
So how would you do that? You can phone a friend.
You phone a friend. I'll phone a friend this time. Yeah, definitely. How would I do that?
Who is a friend here?
Speak to the corresponding IT specialists, stewards, business leaders, and then like
What will you be telling them? Because you're gonna start a job. You're facing interview now.
Would be to define the ownership of and classifications of whatever data they would like, and that's about as far as I can go. That's
okay. Thank you. All right. Anyone to help?
Yeah.
I think the first thing I would do in an organization is to find out where they are when it comes to data governance. Are they in a green field or in a brown field?
Yes.
And then if they're in a green field, which means there's nothing on ground, I will start trying to glean as much and gather as much information as I can from key people, key stakeholders within the organization. And like Nicholas said, One of those places will be the IT departments, because they have a lot of data, the human resource departments, and management. So you identify key people in there by asking questions, sending out. You can even introduce yourself to the company, to everyone in the company. Send a blanket email to everyone in the company introducing yourself and what you do and what you intend to do. That's a way of breaking the ice. And then from there, you will get one or two people who will come back to you to say, yes, this is what we've been waiting for. Our data is shambolic at the moment, or there is nothing in place. Or even if you have an employee manager, you could speak to the manager to find out as much as you can. And in the first 1 month or 2 months, which we'll call our 30-day period, that happens in every, so that's a period where you introduce yourself. Even apart from data governance, is done in every other discipline, where you introduce yourself, get to know people, gather as much information as you can. Look for documents that will support whatever you're doing. There might have been something historical in the past. You could you can get the historical documents from the past, or even go into the archive. So I think once you get there, the first thing is to introduce yourself, get as much information as you can, and then start plotting and structuring how you want to go about it.
Yeah.
Especially to support whatever goals the business has, whatever the business objectives are, and then generally define the scope, or tell them why data is important and why it needs managing. Why, and if they don't have any policies or procedures in place, you can get people and help to put procedures or policies in place. In fact, there's going to be a buy-in from everyone within the organization, key people, key executive people, and then define if there are people going to be working with you, such as stewards, the rest, or if there are no stewards, think about if you're able to take on the onerous tax alone, or you would require support, in which case they will need to employ people. Or you could even look around the company. There might be people who are working there, but who are kind of redundant. So you can easily take those ones to help you start up the data governance process. So it
That's
really depends on if it's a green field or if it's a brown field.
that's really insightful.
Thank you.
Could you maybe write something in the text box and remember? Could you put in the green field and brown field, because I do remember it, but I don't think I got to write it down. So
Okay.
I don't know if you can put that in the chat box or whatever. I'll write that all down, because that is brilliant.
Okay.
That is brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we still have? Okay.
Sorry to give you a lot of work there, but that's a lot. That's it's brilliant.
Okay.
Yes, barrister.
Any other answer?
So I just wanted to add that for easier identification, in my mind, I'll usually say brown is for something that is dirty, and green is for something that is probably clean or neat. So that way you'll be able to identify. Some people tend to confuse what is the green and the brown. So in your mind, you just say, oh, brown is anything dirty. So there's already something there.
Okay.
Yes, that's how that's how I've always studied, I try to.
That makes it very easy. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yes, that's all right.
Thank you, barrister. That is very nice.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay. Did you understand that now?
Very much so. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you very much.
All right. So this question is very important. They are trying to tell you, if we really employ you today, how will you start? Because I don't have much time to talk. What much thing to ask? If we employ you today, can you tell me what you can bring in? How can you start? If your hand is up again,
Yes, I was going to say, in addition to what I was saying about the greenfield and brownfield, sometimes you get employed at your interview. They tell you that it's going to be a brownfield because they already have things in place. But then you get into the company and you find that that's just not the case. So in which case you're starting afresh, you're starting from the ground. So in that case, it has suddenly gone from a brownfield into a greenfield. So
Right.
that's one thing we need to be aware of.
So on that basis, what will you do?
Same process again, start finding out as much information. If it's a brownfield, of course, that means they already have a data governance framework in place. They have policies, they have procedures. So your job will be to try and get all that and then start refining or start adding to or taking out from what needs to be taken out.
Because that's in terms of your value you kind of putting in.
Yes.
Does that value not commensurate with your salary?
Well, it depends on your negotiating powers. So if it's they've told you you're being employed in a brown field and then you find that you're in a green field and no one seems to know where anything is, or no one seems to know what has been done, or everything is just shambolic, then you can now go back to whoever has employed you and say, well, you have employed me to work in a brown field, but I have come here to find out that there is nothing, absolutely nothing on ground. So maybe we need to relook at, we need to have a second look again at what I'm actually being paid for and my job description. And then maybe we can go back to the drawing board and ask for something more. Or you could also say, if I'm able to turn this around within a short period, I'm going to be asking for a salary increment.
Okay, that's good. In that case, you have to use wisdom. Eh?
Yes.
Very important.
No company likes to pay.
Yeah, before I move further, some people have gone for interview. They may join us and tell us how far they've gone. And also those who want to really be employed now, I will advise you to look for a job and they come back that this is a job I found. How am I going to, apply? And we're ready to do that with anyone. Okay. Right. Good answers, but when you're giving it, be precise unless you are prompted to answer or to speak more about what you're saying. So basically, you begin by defining the goals, which of course that's a roadmap. So a roadmap of 30. So and establishing governance policy, which of course that is the main thing. Especially, you have to establish policies, whichever may be the field you're going to be work on, even in the establishing of the policies. It depends on how robust how robust the policy will be to commensurate with the complexity of data that company is having or want to engage in. And also you identify key stakeholders, which you people have rightly mentioned in the setting of a governance framework. The framework is a status quo to which every other team will now begin to stand or build upon. So don't forget about that the components of the data governance are so much important. Don't forget that at all. You can't have a framework without the strong component of data governance, which of course the people himself, the strategy, the policies, the standards, the criteria that you use to measure the performance of your, of your program, and also where you have to do security and privacy, which is data protection. You have to do socialization as well, and feedback system as well in order to evaluate where we have not been done wrong or the gap that exists between your best practice and management practice of your program. Okay, so while doing that, you actually just move from 30 days frame roadmap to 60 days. And between 60 days to 90 days is something very, very big to do. I think probably I need to just quickly share one thing, how we can easily do it, like I said, if we have said, let me see if I can share something. And if possible, have a sample. Let me see.
Whilst you're trying to share, I would say the 30-day roadmap is like in any organization on which anyone is employed, not only data governance. The first thing your manager or whoever you're reporting to, or even might just be a colleague, the first thing they do is they tell you to meet everyone, meet the people, meet the family, like
Yeah.
in any relationship. And then when you meet those people who are the key stakeholders, they start setting objectives, expectations, what they expect you to bring to the table, and then you can tell them to your own what you can bring to the table or what were your expectations from them, and then you're gonna understand what the organization is all about. So, of course, you're making notes whilst you're being shown around. Whilst you're being shown everything, where you're being shown where the stationary cupboard is, where that was back in the day when we're using pens and papers. Now you get a laptop. You're being shown different things around the building, and then from there you start defining what the governance framework is expected to entail, and that framework could be you suggest you have data stewards, you have data owners, and all that, and then assign roles, appoint people. And then you can even suggest that it will be good for a workshop to be organized or surveys to be done via the nets, and look at what tools they have. And if they don't have the right tools, such as databases such as Power BI and all that, you can begin to suggest to them to say, right, I think this will help to make our life easier by having this kind of tools. And then we can talk about training for people. So all this is sometimes a 30-day roadmap. It's not actually 30 days per se in the word of it. Sometimes that 30 days could be 1 month, it could be 2 months, it could be 3 months. I have a friend who, when I asked her when she got employed as a data governance manager, I said, right, so what have you been doing? And she said, to be honest, absolutely nothing. And I said, why is that? She said, because no one seems to have a clue why they have employed me. No one seems to have a clue where they want to start from. So I have been here now for, I think at that time she had been there for 4 months. I haven't done anything. I just log on in the morning,
And receiving salary.
take my salary, play with my one of those bubble games on the internet, and then that's it. So she said, so to be honest, I haven't
I think the
learned
problem
anything.
I think the
So-
problem they had then was I think it was is it he or she?
It's a she.
Okay. I also have somebody who is a he. He was having a problem of access because a lot of people don't want to give him an access to existing information data. So and they're also having one of the universal conflict you have, problem or challenge you have is that what is it in it for me? Why must I open up things when you know? So I think when it happens like that, what you do a lot of awareness creating awareness and workshops and provide such people who are probably presumed stakeholders who are data owners and stewards to come over for more awareness training and so that they can buy into it. He just being kind of lazy, receiving salary, or because he had a challenge of chief executive not really buy into his program because of budget constraints. So probably waiting for the next fiscal year for budget to be rearranged or have the supplementary budget probably to fund the program itself. But that being said, well, we that know what we're doing, we should not hesitate to let them understand that they have to buy into it. So coming back to just to complement what the answers you receive based on that, yeah, you have assets. The first thing is to have an access, okay? And now you have gotten access. The IT people will actually give you access to wherever you want to, and each of the departmental head or the functional departments data owner will also give you an access. And then in each of those assets given to you, you need to assess a lot of or their current situation, like what Nicola said the other time about looking at the classification of there are so much you can use to the assessment you carry out. You have criteria to which you can do that. So in most cases, you have to look at you carry out the initiative planning and roadmap, which of course you're talking 30, 60, and 90 days. The two you can easily use, to assess the gap that exists between optimization and this current situation where they are. So if it is a green field, you have to have initiative, which is initial or which is ad hoc situation that nothing has been done. Nothing has been done. And then you develop it when you have access. And then also you define your goals and so many things that you need to put together, policies that you need to put together. Then you start managing the same. That's why you're a data governance manager, by measuring every state or target you have set. So that will be like 4. The optimization of your target will be like 5, where you have maturity. Okay. So we have aspects, which is assessment, we have establishing, and we have maturity. So you have to define that. When you set that criteria in the beginning, that will determine the stage you're going to be at a time. So when you set criteria, you analyze their current situation of their data, and they set a target by measure of the assessment you carry out. So then you have to create gap analysis, which of course is easy to do when you already know what you have assessed. And what are you actually assessing? The components of data governance program, their state. Okay, so I'm going to show you. You want me to show you fully before we go further with the question? So we're going to talk about best practice.
Yes, please.
Okay, now data governance current. Look at it, current and target state assessment. Correct. So if this is the criteria you have set, and this 1 being in the beginning and 5 being the optimized situation, so you need to look at what is the vision of your governance of your. You see that?
Yeah.
What's the vision? What is the vision? First of all, the organization, has it adopted a holistic enterprise view of data governance? First of all, you want to know whether have they. So if you have this 1.5, yeah.
What does it mean by maturity level? What does that mean?
Is 5, optimize.
Okay, yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Okay. So in this place is 1.5. Okay.
So it means
If it is 1.5, it's not even up to developing.
Yeah.
So that means there's a problem here in adopting a holistic enterprise new view of what? Data governance. So in this place, what can you see here? Can you interpret, is it a greenfield or brownfield?
Basically a greenfield. I would
I need an argument here.
like, I mean, they've put maybe a very small amount in practice in they've put a few procedures in place, but there's no guarantee that even those procedures are even working well.
Yeah. So what are they when you see situation like that?
Then you have to revise the entire structure, and you'd have to go back to the employer and say, look, we need to revise your entire structure and look at how we can put another initiative framework in place, because this isn't done properly. It's definitely not done to a higher standard, and what you have done isn't generating a higher standard. So
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Okay. So that is the main thing. This is
Yeah.
the main thing. If a whole organization cannot adopt, I'm not talking about adapt, cannot adopt a holistic view of data governance, it's a potential hazard.
Yeah, it's a risk, yeah, for sure.
Any other person?
So for me, it says getting from the maturity to the target state. So the target state is 1.5, even though the highest score being 5, optimized, and 1 being, what's 1? I can't say 1. 1 being the initial. So at the moment, their maturity level is still at 1.5. But then again, the target state is 1.5. So which means there's an equilibrium existing there.
Okay.
The current maturity is equal to the target state, so that's not too bad, but it could be better.
What do you think? It has to, well, see, there's no differential here. You
Yes,
set
there's
the
no
target.
so the target
So-
that they set, the target set by the company is 1.5. Their current state is 1.5. So you as a data governance manager now, it's going to be your job now to take it from a 1.5 to a 3 or a 4. In other
Right.
words, you have gone over and beyond why you have even been employed.
Yeah.
That's for me. So which means
There's a
you're doing
there's a
very well.
there's a very big problem here, you know. For target to still remain 1.5, it's a very big problem.
Yeah, does it kind of shows that they need more
Come on,
information and clarification on data governance. Like they obviously, as a company, need
look
more.
at the concept now. We're talking about view.
Yeah. Their view is a bit, it's under the current state of data governance. Their view of data governance is, it needs to be updated.
Sorry?
I would say then their data governance needs to be updated. Like their current target is below like what would I call it?
Optimal level.
Optimal levels of industry standard.
Yeah.
The industry standard is like really you want 3 to 5. So
Did you just talking about industry standard? You are the one that set the standard.
yeah.
So if you set the standard, you're the one that set the standard. 1.5, that is their level, and 1.5.
That's their target state, but
There's
again,
a problem here. There's a problem here.
Well,
Don't forget,
admittedly, yes,
we're talking about holistic view of data governance.
yes, absolutely agreed. It's a problem, but that's what. So maybe the company is the organization is a greenfield environment when it comes to data governance management. So for them, setting that target at 1.5, as far as they're concerned, it's good enough for them. But if you as a data governance manager still stand by it, you come in and you exceed that target, then you're obviously doing a good job. But if you sit at that target for 1 year, 2 years, the organization is going to start questioning whether they really should have brought in a data governance manager or not.
Any other person? Thank you so much for 2 people deliberating on this. Any other person? Maybe I have to call people. Any other person?
I could also say maybe it might be a good idea for them as a company to look at their vision and target state of data governance and reevaluate it basically. And that's a conversation we could have with like stakeholders, bosses, managers, XYZ.
Okay. That's cool.
I believe, yeah.
I think there's going to be an investment problem right there.
Ah, good point.
Yeah, because there's no point of having a current situation and the target cannot move beyond.
So how would you overcome an investment issue? Because that's
Most of them is what you guys have said. You need to create atmosphere of buying into your program for stakeholder to have more, importance attached to your program.
yeah.
So, and even if you have done that yourself and it still remain the same, then definitely there's a serious that you're gonna be sitting in the office, you're gonna be paying money then until next year.
Mm.
And if you have a target, you have to look at the threshold of timeline you give to the target to still be the same. It's something else. Something else.
So this is why I was saying that as a data governance manager, if you're able to exceed that target that has been given, because if you look at all the rules in there, you have 1.5 for there is a clear and achievable vision for data governance. Then the third row is saying the visions and goals for data governance has been communicated throughout the organization is still a 1, and the target state is a 1. So as far as they're concerned, they're okay with that. But you as a data governance manager will come in and you will exceed that target. It means you're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. That
you're what your weight in gold.
Yeah. Look at the target state. The target
Yes.
is not the current. Current is quite
so the
different.
current maturity level.
You're supposed to move it. You're supposed to move it from the current to a target that's expected to be higher than.
If you look at number, if you go right to the top of the table, it says number 2, brainstorm activities that will help you get from the current state to the target state. So the current state is 1.5. So which means if the current state is 1.5, I can argue that the target state needs to be 3.
Yeah.
So
What timeline will you appropriate to that?
So for me to move from the current, don't forget, if I'm employed as a contractor, I will speak as a contractor. I would say my target from moving from 1.5, which is the current state, to the target state will probably take me 6 months because I'm speaking as a contractor, or even a year.
Yeah.
I'm speaking as a contractor. But if I'm employed as a permanent person, I could probably argue that it will take me about 3 months to go from the current maturity level to the target state.
What you want to do is to develop. What you want to do is not to develop the activities.
Develop a holistic view, yes, of data governance. Okay. That's what I would do. So I could probably go from a current state of 1.5 to a 3, which is exceeding their targets, as a permanent staff within 3 months. As a contractor, I will take a year to do it.
And then you'll be receiving your money.
I'll be exactly. So this is different between a permanent staff and a contractor. I want to make my money.
Do you know?
I want to make my money in that time.
Do you know that what I'm showing here is a problem, and I want you to brainstorm to get it well to a target.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know these are answers you like? I don't know which of the cohort, whether you were in the cohort or one of those the cohorts. The answer they gave on the real problem is another 5, which of course I will show when you remember when you guys were trashing out, spending time on the assignment, coming up with this to have a target.
Anyway, but being more serious, I think your role as a data governance to get it from a 1.5 to a 3 is to encourage people to adopt whatever best practice the company intends to adopt. And by doing that, what you do is we can organize workshops, we can organize training, because you have to make it interesting for people to want to buy into it first of all. So the more interesting you make the training, or the more interesting you make the workshops are, the more interested parties are going to be. But if you make it boring, then no one is going to be interested in you. But if you make it more interesting, encourage people, give scenarios, give actual examples, specific examples, bring out descriptive historical analysis, use historical analysis, descriptive analysis, real-time analysis, whatever you can get, bring them all out. And before you know it, people will start to buying it. And then the organization's view towards data governance will begin to become a better one.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Efe. And we are talking about vision here. So first of all, your data governance program must be enshrined into the vision of the company, is the organization goal. And once it's enshrined in, automatically the objectives will be met. And these are the things that we need to find within the goal of the company. If these are not met, it will affect every other aspect of the component. So don't forget that the goals is the main thing, every other thing we know. So in this way, we have roles and organizational structure. So now the question that will come from here is very important. Now in this place is 0. So the data steward role is formally defined and documented within the organization. Is 0 here? So that means there is no data steward.
There's no data,
So within a space of time, you have a target of 4. So I don't know the timeline. So it could be 3 years, it could be 1 year, it could be this thing to have a target met. So in that, for you to meet this target, what are you going to do? You're going to define. Because these are issue log now. When you have 0 here, it's actually issue log of the system in current situation. So then you log it in, and then what you're gonna define the role description, identify candidates by competency. So when you define this thing, it required investment. What will you do as a data governance manager?
So you need to employ people.
That's correct.
You need to do interviews and all that. So, but at the same time too, you might put it out there for people to be interviewed, but you might not even get the right candidates. So you would just go whoever best fits that particular role and then organize training, in which case you might be looking at, if you get the right person at the interview, yes, you can go straight from a 0 to a 4. But if you don't get the absolute right fit for that particular job, then you will have to say, right, we'll employ you, but we'll organize training. We'll organize training. So if it's someone that you want to employ to use Power BI and there's no knowledge of Power BI, but you feel the candidate is someone who's quick at learning, you can employ that person and then organize training, in which case that particular target could take maybe 3 months to achieve. It could take 6 months to achieve, depending on how fast. And of course, with interview processes, especially now where interviews have become so cumbersome, where they're doing one particular job is being interviewed by 3 different people now, where you have the initial telephone conversation, then it goes on to the interview, then it goes on to actual practical exercise. And it's become it's become something else, not like before where you just do an interview and you're told, right, you have the job or you don't have the job. So that process could actually take 6 months for you to get the right fit for the job.
It could be more than that. Because
it could even be a year.
It's not easy to recruit strong people like you. So,
and then again, lots of with the recruitment process, they have to check inside if there's any internal fits inside the organization. And if no one fits the description inside the organization, after doing the internal process, they will now go outside to external. So that's why you see a lot of jobs being advertised out there.
Okay, as a data governance, when you're having time for such, to giving timeline for such expertise or stewards to be employed, what will you be doing?
You'll be looking at getting all the other documents, checking. You can be busy looking at policies, procedures, or playing your bubble game while you're waiting.
All right. So welcome to that. When I'm matter concerned, one of you asked me, can we make this document available? Yeah, we can make it available. Most cases we make it available for those who have gone through interview and been employed, and we tell them what to do. This is part of the assignment that normally being done here. This is the last assignment. Normally, I only brought this in here because we're talking about practice. and then best practice what we can do to create value, either in green feed or brown feed. So I'll stop sharing here, but this assignment need to be done. Original assignment, these are all answer to assignment. I think if a part of the people who created this document and the assignment as well, the answer to the assignment. All right, so okay, now moving forward, let's do something about our best practice. If we have much time, we can go back to more questions because I have a meeting after this. Okay.
Cool.
Right. Today, we're going to be talking about ethical responsibility. Yes, we talk about scope already. We talk about components already. Analytics, we talk about that already. Yeah. We talk about visualization already. This let me just go back. So this is what we did last. And today we're going to talk about data ethics. So probably I have to come back later for some of the questions on the best practice and data ethics. Have you heard the word ethics before? Everyone?
Yes.
Hello, can you see what I'm sharing? Ashibon, can you see what I'm sharing?
You're still on the first page, data ethics. You haven't moved. Okay.
That's good. Okay. It simply refers to moral principles that guide any individual or a group of individuals. And in this case, putting it in context, it refers to the moral principle guidelines and standard governing the collection, that's one, usage, two, sharing, three, and storage of data. So please, we must take note of that. Okay, the principle and guidelines and standards governing this collection, usage, and storage of data. Okay, and these involve the responsibility of handling of data, ensuring fairness, privacy, transparency, and accountability in its acquisition. This is very important in its acquisition, analysis, and dissemination. Okay, now please, this is very important. There are principles and guidelines you need to follow when you are collecting data from individual or a group of individual or from database. And when you're using the same data, you also have principle. You have to tell people or wherever you collect the data for why you should use the data, why you're going to be using it for, when are you going to stop using it. If you're going to be sharing your data to third party, why do you need to? And how long will it be? Who would the third party be? Or then storage of the people's data, how long are you going to store their data in your database? Those things are very important before you can either archive or delete. Very important. Why are you doing that? So that people privacy must be made known to the people, and then in terms of compliance, to avoid risk of non-compliance, you have to be fair with the people you're collecting or wherever you're collecting the data for, and you have to be very open let them know that you're very open in the use of their data, and also letting them that you can be held accountable in terms of you now collecting the data, you analyzing the data, and disseminate the same thing. Very, very important. This is ethics. And the most questions are coming from best practice and ethics. I just get to know whether you are fit enough to handle data concerning an organization. Is that clear to everyone? So, example, consider a scenario where a healthcare company collects the patient data for research purposes. Okay. Now, adhering to data ethics would involve obtaining informed what? Informed what?
Consent from patients.
The patient. Okay. And sometimes you don't make their names known for a reason. Okay. And using the data solely for the intended. This word is very crucial. Intended. Very crucial. Intended while maintaining the highest standard of data security. These are key things. So you must let them know why do you need to have it, and also what do you want to use it for. Okay, very important. Okay, has anybody have a word for it? Another want to splash a word or kind of relate to it? Anyone? Has anyone?
Say that again, sorry.
Can you give any example?
What of data ethics?
Yeah,
Uh,
very important.
non-sharing outside of a company. So say for example, a company gets your data, they don't share it with a third party. That would be one form. You could go into like two what do they call it? Two-stage authentication to some degree to keep it secure, and it keeps it private within that person.
Yeah. Everyone have to stop in this place because very important, this application. I'm going to ask everyone. Everyone, yeah. Have you finished, Nicholas?
Face ID. Again, but anonymizing. Say for example, you do a survey. It may not ask for your name or date of birth. It would just be a patient. For example, it just wants an opinion without private information, without metadata from you, basically.
Okay. Another person?
Yeah.
Example?
Yeah. When my university told my, yeah. Same with doctors. Doctors another like I mean they have metadata on you, but they definitely do not share that outside of anybody who's not family. And only some family, really. So
Okay.
Sorry, what was the question?
Like Ashibom say, I just want some data ethics examples. Okay. Yeah,
Insurance companies
okay.
are one. The credit card companies or banking,
Yeah.
you can't. They must not share your details with anybody except you have given them consent to. Any any departure from that could result in dire consequences for them. So they must always obtain consent from you. So I can't just call up the bank and say, I want to get information about XYZ's accounts. I must have proper channels to go through. I know that's only in cases of if there's been a big issue of fraud. Even the police can't obtain anything from them. And I know there's been a big fight with WhatsApp, that if there's anyone who has been involved in any criminal activity or terrorism activity, that WhatsApp should give them access to historical information on that person's WhatsApp. But I don't know if they've agreed to yet. I know there's always been a big fight between them and security. So there's so many examples of where anything contrary to what you have agreed becomes an issue, and it can cost the company millions of pounds. We see that all the time with Facebook. We see that all the time with different social medias. Even normal news reporting. We see people suing people because they have misused their information or they haven't been given consent to share that information.
Okay. Thank you so much. Barrister, your hand is up.
I've actually lowered my hands. I think what I wanted to say, if we covered it,
Okay.
probably if I could just add, I once had a patient or client that I had some concerns, and I wrote to the GP. You know, the husband actually made a referral, saying that he's concerned that she might have some mental health issues. I wrote to the GP. Within 5 minutes time, they got in touch with the lady. The clear instructions was that don't get in touch with the lady except you've spoken with me. That was the instructions from the husband. In less than 5 minutes, I sent an email to the GP boldly to say, please don't get in touch. They said they've already gotten in touch with it, and this caused a lot of problems. So you see the importance of consent. Absolutely. And also following strict. Yeah, because he got back to say, oh, please don't contact her direct except you've spoken with me. You know, and I wrote, the GP said they've already contacted her, and she was really mad. She was so mad about it. And yeah, it actually led to a very serious complaint. But at the end of the day, the finding was that I did everything that would have reasonably been done to ensure that I complied with the legal framework.
That's a very good example. Very good example.
That's the time, when they say time is of the essence, that's a very good example.
Yeah, it is.
Very, very good example.
It is. Yeah, it's not a joke at all. It is.
So the learning from there, in fact, we had to hold a training on that. Another local authority too had to copy from that. So when we are sending letters to GP, we'll write boldly on it what the clear instructions are on the subject matter. You know, to say, please don't get in touch with except you've done this. And also, if you're going to get in touch, don't say the referral is from XYZ. Yes.
Yeah, it's very important. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ashbog put one as on the platform. His example is when my university told me my data will not be shared with a third party except on issue of national security. Yeah, that is a very typical example. You know, very, very typical example.
And then the common one is in cases of divorce lawsuits concerning divorce proceedings and all that. There are some things that are shared and they say don't share with a third party, especially when it comes to like paternity, determining paternity of a child involved in that, involved in that divorce proceeding, or how much money the man has managed to squirrel away. So there are all sorts of issues where it involves where data are not to be revealed to third parties, and in revealing them causes conflicts or issues.
Right. That's very good. As long as we can give specific examples of all these things, is a very good, it's a gateway for us to know what to do ethically in terms of data. For example, healthcare protecting patient data privacy, that's what Nicholas was referring to the other time. Okay, what they do is by encrypting patients' records using access control before anyone can come in, and anonymizing data used for research purposes. Barrister, your hand is up.
Yeah, I actually wanted to say, although if you mentioned that some organizations like Facebook was also fined. In fact, to show the seriousness of this when it comes to compliance, consent, and the rest, Facebook was actually fined 1.2 billion euros.
No, I think it's 2.8.
And there's another one I was actually fined 1.2 billion.
Okay, yeah, they always receive.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, that's to show the seriousness.
Yeah.
I'll just put it on the.
Because every company wants to know. Everybody wants to know how you can handle their data if they are employing you.
Yeah.
Because in your program, you must show that you're ethically responsible and accountable for.
Oh my God! I literally just saw another one. Another one, 91 million.
Okay.
So there are several. There are a lot of them.
I don't know that. I don't know why they kept on having this thing. Anyway.
Anyway, they are very rich.
I think it's the fourth richest. It should be fourth richest now in the world.
Yeah.
It should be fourth or fifth richest in the world now. So, right. So we have another one, like retail, for example, transparent data collection in e-commerce. Your hand is still up. Is there legacy hand or what, Barrister?
Oh, it's legacy. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. So Amazon explicitly inform customers about the data it collects, such as purchase history, and borrowing and browsing behavior, and allows users to manage their privacy settings. So, yeah, very important. And what is the ethical principle in that? It's about transparency and informed consent in data collection and usage. That's what Amazon. I use Amazon as an example on that. So what are the main things that they were so ethical there that they have discharged? In financial sector, they have algorithms, fairness in credit scoring. So like example, some banks can adjust its credit scoring algorithm to avoid bias against certain demographics. I hope if it's hearing that, ensuring equal access to credit. So what they kind of principle they put ethically on that basis is actually mitigating against mitigating algorithm bias and promoting fairness in financial decision making. Okay, Barrister, your hands up.
Yeah, I think another very good example is that of Tesco's. If we could remember, Tesco misrepresented, I think the auditors, the accounting report, there was a misrepresentation and they were fined a lot of money.
Yeah, because they were playing pranks. It's not even pranks. They were just the word you use,
misrepresentation. Yeah,
because what they have done is the deception for any stakeholder, because they want people to believe they are performing very well, and meanwhile there's no performance to that effect. Very important. And
was 7.5 million.
Yeah, they were fine. Yeah, they were fine, and also the directors, those directors were sacked, and they were given a big amount of money as bonus as well.
Yeah, that was even for selling out of date food. at 3 city stores.
Mm.
So you can see a lot of fine against them or penalty. Yeah.
So in a
Fine.
financial setup where some people, you can define your ethical principle, and it has to justify the principle you're actually using in what you intend to do. So social media, we're talking about concept and data usage. For example, LinkedIn provides users with granular controls over how their profile data is shared with recruiters and advertisers. So the ethical principle they use in that is empowering users to do what? To control their personal data and its usage, so they can have the right to control it by themselves. Okay? All right. And then thank you, Imam Barrister, for those information as well. What about in educational system? Ashbob was relating it to why the university told them their data will not be sent to third party except national security. So that is a principle they were kind of trying to put together to ensure that really takes place. So when you talk about education, yes, ethical use of learning analytics, sometimes like use example like Canvas. Canvas is a software. So you use it to learn management system, and also you can use it to anonymize and aggregate students' data to improve course outcomes without infringing into their individual privacy. So the principle they put together in that, where it's not connected with the fact that they try to balance analytics with students' privacy and any ethical data use when necessary. In the technological world, you discover that facial recognition and privacy concepts somehow comes in. If it's okay, you want facial recognition, they will put privacy right there. You want it or you do not want it, it will be sent to third party or not third party. That's just an example. We have so many examples. Okay. And example, reason that Microsoft limits the sales of facial recognition software to law enforcement agencies, and also advocates, for stricter recognitions to prevent misuse. So what Microsoft trying to put in place in terms of the principle is ensuring responsible development and use of sensitive technologies. If your hand is up.
Yes, I was going to talk about the educational point of view. Normally, for a lot, say for a school will maybe a school that has an online kind of platform wants to use the data they obtain to tailor lesson plans, identify students who are at risk, and also provide additional support for students. And then on ground, we also have where you have the children from a poorer background and a more wealthier background are identified using data that have been obtained, and then they tailor the education based on their test score grades as to what kind of activities they can give the kids in the various backgrounds. And that's why you have schools like, I think you'll have schools like academies, you have academies, and you have public schools, and then you have the private you have the private schools. So the data collected is used to how will I put it, is used to help the learning process or the outcome of the scores based on the information they have obtained from the various students.
Absolutely, but then in this case, we're talking about the ethics. How do they use those data? We know that those data will determine, like when somebody finishing from primary school is going to secondary school, some of them will just go to academies.
Mm-hmm.
They know, the difference between the academy and the mainstream. So the academy in United Kingdom is sponsored by the national, because they feel that some people cannot be in the mainstream. So
Yeah,
they
but
need more investment to make sure they have been brought to a level that is expected.
yeah, they also say that the data is not in any way going to be used in any form of bias against the students. But in a lot of cases, it's actually used, because if I say I finish from Oxford University, and then somebody saying they come from South Bank University, I'm assuring you, if we both go for an interview, they would look at that background of Oxford University before they look at the background of South Bank University, even though the person from the South Bank University might be better than the person from Oxford University.
Well, in effect,
So,
to be fair, they might not use it. It might just click there. But when you talk about criteria set on the interview, for example, if the one South Bank University able to meet the standard as comparable to one from Oxford, they will take the person. It's they're going to be biased on that. No, they may not. But they may expect more from the one from Oxford University. But if both of them and the same platform are strong enough to they are together, and probably one is greater than one, in this case, maybe South Bank University, they will not compromise that because somebody's from Oxford. Because the important thing is that someone has met the criteria and is strong enough comparable to someone from Oxford. I don't think it's really so. But if someone is no one, unless someone doesn't want to follow the criteria, thank you if to that effect. It happens, but not all the time.
I agree. Yes, it does happen. And I'm saying this based on, especially when people come from Africa. I'm telling you now that so many people from Africa who are, or even a lot of Blacks who are very good, they probably have their masters, even doctorates, but you come to a country because you did not have an educational foundation in that country. You go for an interview, they are more likely to take the person who has just finished from their A levels in that country, rather than you who have come in with a master's or a PhD from a different country, from a different continent. So in a way, it's still useful, but it's still being biased.
Yeah.
Could I add to that?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
please.
Yes. Quite frankly, there has been lots of complaints on what Efe just said. So what the government did is that they made it that the HR, you probably must have heard about this or read about this. There's what we call blind. They when they're doing recruitment, the companies or the team or department, they don't actually give them the information. One, they don't even give them the names, because obviously with names you can actually tell. Then also the university you can tell. So they made it in a way that the recruitment department will be very fair. In fact, they actually did a research, and they found out that some people that from some part of some countries, they answer English names, and lo and behold, those people were actually chosen. They were actually shortlisted for interviews. But when they went, and some obviously when they speak, you wouldn't know that they actually the colored people, so to speak. So the government is very strict on that. But like you say, everything also depends on the organization. But generally speaking, the government is doing everything possible. Like if it said, some people that are from different countries or other countries, they could be very good, excellent candidates. But at the end of the day, you find out that they are probably not chosen. But for those that are extremely very good, some organization will go against anything to ensure that those people that are good are actually chosen. Because some, for under Equality Act, like we know 2010, it's obligatory for the companies to ensure that they have a balance, diversity, and NHS is doing very well on that anyway, as we all know, and some other top organizations. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this contribution. Basically, even in modern time now, like as you said, just to complement what Barrister said, there are there are technology put in place in the selection of a candidate for interview right now. So right from your CV, they already know the keywords, the key things you need to select people, comparable to when it was just a manual selection by name or whatever. So, but we just have to, try our best and leave the rest. The more information could be given and let people understand that, well, anything can happen. But the best way is that every company will want the best for their company, and should it be a way of saying being biased in terms of selection by virtue of where the university or where you come from. Okay, very important. That's good. Thank you. Also, we're talking about an even energy sector, or let's talk about government as well. Government, open data transparency, very important. Sometimes, for example, the UK government's open data portal shares public data sets in terms of economic trends and while ensuring personal data is deducted in a way to protect privacy. So what kind of principle are they really bringing in on this? Is transparency while safeguarding individual privacy. So each of those ethical responsibilities, is it legacy law, a legacy hand or what?
No, sorry. I just wanted to say that it's very important we point out this because in the UK, it's a very fair country. Some countries that we know, that we even come from, they are worse. When you say worse, before employment, before they publish, they already know the candidate they will be employing. So the UK government is doing everything possible to ensure that transparency, you could see the transparency and also in diversity. You find out that in some countries, one family, there are these on top. We're not talking of private organization now, a government organization. They will just plan their people there. So these are some of the things that, and when it comes to excellence, you find out that they always have problems.
Because if someone does something wrong, he couldn't even do what he expected to do. To reprimand such person is
exactly.
So that's nepotism. Okay.
The
UK government actually has open data portal
policy.
So very important, and that's why
they spend a lot of money. They spend a lot of money to ensure that these things are done in the right way. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It could also be seen in the prison reform system, not informing employees that someone has been to prison for such and such a crime, because you want them to be employed first and foremost.
Thank you. And to add to what FA just said, you'll find out that the Minister of Prison employs, in fact, Timson is the founder of Timson. He employs people that are ex-convict. So you can imagine that's why they made him the Minister of Prisons, because they know he's very good. And also Branson also employs ex-convict too.
Thank you so much for that. So that is even in UK, in terms of government, we have a sector like energy sector, ethical smart meter data use as well. So British Gas, for example, uses customer energy consumption data from smart meters to provide usage insight, that is understanding of why ensuring compliance with a GDPR as well. So what is ethical responsibility in that? Is just be responsible in terms of use of customer data for energy efficiency without violating their privacy. So each of all these sectors, they have got different ethical responsibility they carry out. For example, in entertainment industry, we can like ethical content recommendation algorithms. So, Netflix, for example, designs is a recommendation engine, to avoid promoting harmful content, and ensures it reflects diverse viewer preferences, like someone who like watching, like Nicholas, who like watching, exercise and building up judo, karating, in Netflix. So they're going to be, as soon as they finish one is be recommended for him to watch, even when he didn't prompt for it. Nicholas?
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm here.
that's the same. That's the same about my mom and Nollywood. She Nollywood TV or YouTube. She watches Yule Edochie, and then the next time she hasn't done Yule Edochie coming up. So she's a big fan of me.
So that is what happened. What is the ethical principle that Netflix kind of employ in that? It's ensuring algorithmic accountability and avoiding the spread of harmful or biased content. If you are such a person who always wants, specific algorithm, that's what they're going to be giving to you. So that is kind of various examples of ethical responsibility that people need to discharge. So moving forward, what are the challenges? One may face. What are the challenges? One significant challenge in data ethics is balancing the need for data-driven advancements and an individual privacy right and societal applications. Okay, and as technology evolves, maintaining ethical standards become increasingly complex, especially in fields like artificial intelligence and machine learning. So where biases and discrimination can inadvertently arise from biased data. Okay, and what are other challenges?
This is back to what Barrister and I were saying earlier on.
Yeah.
About biases.
Yeah, that's correct. We know that is correct, but there are also ways to mitigate against it. What are other challenges?
Sorry, let's not forget that we have what is known as unconscious bias. So at the end of the day, there will always be bias. But like we said, the UK government is doing everything possible to ensure that those biases are not taken into account or seen or used in recruitment processes. That's one of the reasons we have the Quality Act 2010. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
So something I've been following is like the biases that AI itself has, and they're trying to work through the problems of that, because obviously AI learns through data and data in society, and obviously if you've got a biased society, that's going to be reflected in the AI as well. And so they're trying to really like come back in, like they're going into the software of AI to try and eliminate that bias, which seems to be happening anyway. But yeah, that's something I was looking into that. And so they're trying to make AI less biased. Now AI is biased because society is, basically, and it's always biased based on the society it comes from, but they're trying to make it unilaterally, like, completely fair, but it's a difficult issue.
Absolutely, you are right. You are really, really right. Okay, it's what you feed in, that is what they will get.
Yeah.
Okay. for example, you know, if we were brought up in a way that the coconut we drink, we're kind of told that the coconut we drink is really something. Or for example, if you take processed one, we are enjoying. Meanwhile, in the real sense, while we're taking that coconut raw, we're actually really enjoying. Who made that statement? Who put that in there? So here we pick it and we say, well, if you do this and do that, you enjoy. If you do this and do that, you are living very well. So it's about someone definition against another person's definition. The one that is recorded is the one here we pick. Okay. There is a president in a country called United States of Africa. In United States of Africa, the president has the Wikipedia, the age put there, and then the senior daughter age also in Wikipedia. So that means the president gave birth to the daughter when he was 8 years old. So what am I saying? If it is that whatever you put it there, that's what any AI will pick, and they pick the information, will tell you the source of it.
So garbage in, garbage out.
That's correct. So when you put a bias situation there, you will not blame AI for that.
Yeah.
So even if there are conflicts, that's why research are taking place. When you do a lot of research right now and begin to see differences and the gap that exists in some researches, then AI will also pick it up. Well, before so person have done so work, but now with the trend of things, so person have done this, and this gap we identify. Therefore, you have to have an argument to determine which direction you go. And if AI are able to pick those two extreme end or narrow end automatically, AI will still give you whatever that is in there. So that's call for research. Barrister, your hands up.
Thank you. I'm not sure if you remember, in the course of the week, we had a conversation when we said that before now, or before we started having internet and things like that, when you research or carry out a work or a piece of work, there was nothing like Turnitin, or you just go on the internet now, you see what others have done before, but things have actually changed. So plagiarism, as soon as one is plagiarizing, you see it straight away. So with Turnitin, you can see everything. Thank you. So that's the power of data, and also it also boils down to garbage in, garbage out.
Of course.
It's what you've actually put in there. But there's virtually nothing. I always tell people that, in fact, there's nothing that is not on the internet, except, of course, it's not being conceived by anyone, which is very, very rare. Thank you.
You're welcome. So those are the kind of challenges, and for some example, let me give some challenges that we might face when you carry out data governance across industry practically. One of the challenges would be data silo. And so data is scattered, scattered across departments, preventing effective sharing and governance. So on that's one of the greatest, one of the greatest problem we do have, on the basis of that. So very important. And what do you do? What can you do to mitigate against it? You implement a centralized data governance framework and tools. So, for example, we have data catalog, which you can use to consolidate and standardize data so that there will not be data silos, okay, taking place. Okay. We also have poor data quality. That's one of the challenges of data ethics. So When you have inconsistency, incomplete, inaccurate data undermines trust in analytics and decision making. So how do you mitigate against such? Will be that you establish data quality standards, which is very, very important. Data quality standards. So the first assignment will be that data quality standards, use automated tools for validation, and also cleansing and assign data stewards to do what? To monitor quality as you have carried out in your data quality initiative. Okay, and there's always resistance to change, which if you're always mentioning, one of the challenges is when employees resist new data governance practice, especially when you're employed, you know what you're doing, and perceiving them as additional work to them, especially when you want to locate a data owner stewards. So how do you do that? What you do is to provide training. Always remember that, because when you are collaborating with this communication, they want to know whether you know how to communicate or have a team player abilities or a good problem solver. So what you do is to provide training on the benefits of data governance and also involve key stakeholders at early stage in your implementation practice or process as well during your data governance program. Okay. We also have sometimes something like lack of data ownership as a challenge. This is always a question that they will ask you. Okay, what are the challenges? Always say it. Data owner, challenges. They don't want to take responsibility and accountability. In most cases, they say the reason, just always say the reason, what is it in it for me? So ambiguity in rules leads to unclear accountability for data. And that's one of the reasons challenges you meet when you want to implement such ethical responsibility of yours. So what you do is to define clear rules. For example, data stewards, data owners, and our specific responsibility in the governance framework. Your first assignment will be on this CRM platform that you're going to identify issues. You're going to identify issues and log them in, establish what their description, and also assign it to data owners and stewards. Look at the rating in terms of the quality dimension, and look at the quality dimension of, is it complete or is it incomplete? Is it reliable? Is it consistent? Is it unique? Then you're looking at the rating, is it critical, high, medium, low? Then that will determine the timeline you're going to assign to that, and it has to be done according to the time frame you put in. Depends on the rating as well. Okay, you also need to, some of the challenges you meet ethically is data privacy, compliance. I don't know if I've talked about that before. So most organizations really struggle to keep up with evolving privacy regulations like GDPR in the case of Europe and England, and also CCPA in America. So what you do as a solution to that is to regularly review legal requirements with legal team within the organization or consultant that has been employed by the organization legally. They use data protection tools like encryption, very important end-to-end, and conduct compliance audits. It depends on you, as regular as you can, you deem fit if it comes to that. So we also talk about like the managing ethical concerns. That's one of the challenges. So ability to balance in innovation is very important, like AI analytics So with ethical data use and privacy can be very, very cumbersome or complex. Depends on what you want to do. And that being said, you need to develop an ethical guidelines and conduct impact assessment, which of course for example, the one we have, where we talk about Excel, the other time initiative, current situation, and where you tend to go in terms of your targets as well. So, and create a data ethics committee to evaluate new projects that you haven't. So, so we have so many of that challenges come across. You can also give, as you begin to work or in your work, always remember to inform us new challenges that you may meet in the ethical issues that you are experiencing. Okay. Solution to address these challenges. Government must establish what? Comprehensive data governance policies. This policy is very important. It should be robust enough to cover what those challenges impose on us, and conduct regular ethical audits, which is very important, and implement robust mechanism for data protection. This is talking about privacy and security, and transparency, very, very important. And also training for professionals promoting diversity in data collection and fostering multidisciplinary collaboration. This is what we can do to carry out a solution to some ethical problem. Thank you so much. Any question?
I think I wanted to add to what you just said. A very good complaints department, listening to the people's, whatever they've got to say. Like we always say, no question or no information is useless. Yeah, it's always good to give a good listening ear. And because from there, you'll be able to learn a lot, get a lot from, and that can even improve the organization.
Very important. Thank you so much, Barrister. Any question, everyone?
Not for now.
If not now, when?
Once I do the assignment, yeah. When I get the assignment, there'll be plenty of questions, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Okay. Right. Any other question, everyone?
I'm not sure if you remember. I think our last section, there was a question that you said you were going to ask. I think I asked that question. I can't remember. You said in our next class, you were going to ask that question too, because you said it was a very interesting one and everyone was going to learn from it. I'm not sure if CEO remember. Nicholas, do you remember? I think it was a very good, we all were brainstorming, and Pastor was saying that we're going to continue at our next class. Yes, it was a very interesting one. I'm not sure if...
now that you say it, yeah, I remember that, but I can't remember the subject.
Okay.
The last class talked about metadata. We talked about initiative. I don't know. Can't remember the exact question.
No, we actually talk about best practice.
Okay, best practice.
We dealt with a lot of examples of best practice and challenges, of course. So can we have it this way? If you go to the recording, and you will see it towards the ending. So I think it's documented in a way so that we will remember, and next time we can deal with that. Is that okay, everyone?
Absolutely, yeah, sure.
Have you learned something today?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Every time.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Do we have Dr. Maria Garotti? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Anything learned today?
Yeah, data ethics. Very well.
Good. Igor, are you still there? Igor?
I'm here.
We'll not be hearing you. Did you learn something today?
Yeah, I will be listening and following up.
Good.
Dr. Maya Garotti, greetings from UK. Send our greetings to Canada.
All right. They will hear you. Thank you.
How's the weather? I hope it's not too cold.
Very cold.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you too.
Okay.
Very funny. She says the weather is cold here. Here in Nigeria, the weather is so hot.
Where about in Nigeria?
I'm actually sweltering at the moment.
Who is speaking? Is it Ashibong?
No, Efe.
Yeah, Efe. Are you in Nigeria or Ashibong? Who is representing you there? Ashibong?
We're in Nigeria.
Somebody Ashibong say when you enter town. That's the question they put there. So thank you so much for coming, and thank you, Dr. Bain.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any word from you, sir?
Okay. Okay. Regarding, I don't know. Anyway, let me just add on the ethics issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Canadian government were asked, immigration were sued for ethical, AI algorithm they use for immigration to Canada.
Wow.
So it was 100% favoring the Asians that are mostly Chinese, Korean, and very few Indians.
Wow.
So in Africa, yeah, so there was even I think a petition by one lawyer in Canada, I can't remember his name, that was fighting it. So that's another issue for ethical issues regarding the use of AI. So I think afterwards they had to pause all their immigration. That was one of the reasons, anyway, but not all, that they had to pause their immigration system as at then. I think this happened, was it immediately before COVID, or was it after COVID? I can't remember.
Wow. This, I haven't heard that. Thank you, Doctor, for bringing that on board. I think Dr. Maria Garate can confirm that by next class if he can confirm it now, because it's a very good information, to be quite honest.
I think just to add to what Prof just said, I think it's when it comes to data and ethics or data ethics, where you have pandemic like COVID, it obviously affects everything, and also it affects data. That's something we also have to bear in mind. Thank you.
That's why when we're doing a case study now, we put two things together, like people can have a secondary data before COVID-19, and we need to carry out questionnaire to verify, to test those data, whether they are still strong with terms of time, if they can be more reliable over time. Oh, that's very good. Oh, thank you so much for that information.
Sorry, and also I think when it comes to insurance companies, that's why we have what is known as Act of God. You know, things like that. They will tell you that, oh, we can't actually cover some costs or some things. So it's very important that as data governance analysts, we should look at those things closely. Thank you.
So that means in some policy, they're going to put in insurance, they'll say certain things that are out of God, that they will not be able to cover.
That's right.
So now let's talk about the fire in United States. Would that be like out of God?
Yeah, very good one, actually. It depends on the content of the there are some insurance that might cover that. Yes, yeah, exactly. There might be some insurance that might cover, but there are some, like we all know, this really too small prints. They might say that, oh, probably because of these are some of the things that we can actually cover. But in order for those people not to go empty, they might be able to say, okay, we are going to do XYZ, provide XYZ support. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. That means it's good to read our policy very well.
I
Because
think when I read when the incident was happening, I went